Vaughan and Markham are the two biggest cities in the region of York, and both directly border the city of Toronto. With a combined population of around 700,000 people, it's fair to assume that the transit situation in both cities are at least decent. Well, that's what I'm finding out in this video. I'm going to be comparing the transit scene in these two cities and determine which one is doing better and why. Quick disclaimer, like when I compared Mississauga to Brampton, some aspects here aren't perfect, and if you don't like it, make your own video. Starting off with the simplest of the categories, Viva. Viva is YRT's bus rapid transit system, and each of these cities have their own Viva line. Starting with Vaughan, we have Viva Orange. Viva Orange runs along Centre Street and Highway 7 from Yonge Street in the east to Martin Grove Road in the west. Off-peak, service runs about every 20 minutes, while on-peak runs every 12 minutes, which for YRT is pretty good. Service runs from approximately 4 a.m. to approximately 1 a.m. The big thing to note here is that there's bus lanes on almost the entirety of the route, basically all the way from Bathurst Street to almost Islington Avenue, save for one small portion of the section near the bridge between Highway 7 and Centre Street. Turning to Markham, this city is served by Viva Purple/Purple A. This Viva route runs from Yonge Street in the west to Cornell Terminal at 9th Line in the east. Off-peak, service on each of these two lines is approximately every 35 minutes, meaning that in the sections where they line up, it's run every 17 to 18 minutes. On-peak, service runs about every 18 minutes, meaning where they overlap, it's about every 9 to 10 minutes. So if you're on one of these overlap sessions, frequency is good, comparable to Orange, but if you're not, it's atrocious. Service hours are almost identical to Viva Orange. The big area where Viva Purple falls flat is in its bus lanes. They are found on only half of the route in small separate bursts, which is much less than Viva Orange's bus lane coverage. So, given the slightly more reliable frequency and much better bus lanes, Viva Orange wins here, giving the point to Vaughan. Next category, terminals. Starting with Vaughan, not counting GO train stations, there are 5 terminals in the city of Vaughan. Highway 407 Terminal, Smart VMC Terminal, Vaughan Mills Terminal, Major Mackenzie West Terminal, and Promenade Terminal. All of these terminals, save for Promenade, are all on Jane Street. The main buses serving these terminals are the 20 and 320 Jane buses, as well as the connecting east-west arterial routes like Viva Orange, 77 Highway 7, 85 Rutherford, and 4 Major Mackenzie. Some other routes that serve these terminals include Route 360 Vaughan Mills Wonderland, 88 Bathurst, 3 Thornhill, 87 Autumn Hill, and 12 Pine Valley. All of these terminals are located in major destinations like Vaughan Mills Mall, Canada's Wonderland, Promenade Shopping Centre, and downtown Vaughan. The one flaw with Vaughan's terminals is that since 4 out of the 5 of them are all on one street, there's a massive area of the city with no major bus hubs. Turning to Markham, not counting GO stations, there is one terminal, Cornell Terminal. Cornell Terminal is located at Highway 7 and 9th Line, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and serves most, if not all, of the major east-west routes like 25 Major Mackenzie, 18 Burr Oak, 14 14th Avenue, 16 16th Avenue, and 2 Milliken. Now, I do want to give Markham a fighting chance here, so I'm going to include the GO stations here, these stations being Mountjoy, Markham, Centennial, and Unionville. These stations serve routes like 18 Burr Oak, 102 Markham Road, 303 and 301 Express buses, 129 McCowan North, and 8 Kennedy. These stations, despite their numbers, don't really add much here, as only 2 of them have actual off-street terminals, and there's not a lot of good connections here, so I'm going to give the point to Vaughan here. Next up, GO Transit connections. Starting with Vaughan, Vaughan has 3 main GO Transit connections, Highway 407 Bus Terminal, Rutherford GO, and Maple GO. Highway 407 Terminal being the largest, serving a large number of GO bus routes. The 2 GO stations are located kind of off to the side a bit, both being located on Keele Street. On Markham's side, there's been quite a few more here. There are 5 main GO Transit connections being at Unionville, Centennial, Markham, and Mountjoy GO, as well as Cornell Terminal. The biggest asset to the GO Transit connections here is the coverage of the GO train service. Rather than simply traveling adjacent to Keele Street like in Vaughan, the Stouffville line cuts through the entire city going northeast and intersect with several major streets. And Cornell Terminal provides really good connections to local buses, better than Vaughan does, as well as through connections to Unionville GO in downtown Toronto, to Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Brampton, Mississauga, Oakville, and Durham region, so I'm giving the point to Markham here. Next up, frequency. Now this one was a lot less clear on the answer, and I had to do some research. I took 7 of each city's major bus routes and found their frequencies during rush hour. Doing this, and with some math, I was able to find the average frequencies for major routes in each city. By the way, each of these cities had their Viva routes included in these frequency calculations. So here it is. Vaughan's average frequency for major routes is every 15 minutes. For Markham, it's every 20 minutes. Now, given that I didn't include every single route because that would take forever, my calculations aren't 100% perfect. If you did it with different major routes, the outcome would be slightly different. What knocked Markham down a peg was a 35-minute frequency on Major Mackenzie and a 30-minute frequency on 14th Avenue. But, in my video, Vaughan gets the point here. Last category, service reliability. For this category, I took each city and found out the percentage of its routes that operate on limited days or times. Express buses do not count here, as there is a lot more in Markham, so the more routes that don't run off-peak would make this unfair for Markham. So for Vaughan, the percent of routes that operate on limited times is 47%, while in Markham, it's 42%, so simply numerically, Markham gets the point here. So the grand score is Vaughan 3, Markham 2. To summarize, Vaughan does better at running a Viva route, has more bus terminals, and overall has better frequency. But Markham has much better GO Transit connections, and has more service reliability as more of its routes run all day, every day. I hope you learned something new about transit in these two cities and that you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.